Anyways, that's a lot of vamping about Linkara.
Yeah.
So on the subject of somebody else who has spaceships, Disney's Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet, directed by John Musker and Ron Clements. We'll have to talk a bit more about them as we get in, but this is a Disney. This is a Disney production. Disney from 2002. Disney. This is a Disney show. I got Disney Plus. Yeah, that's how I watch the shows. So Disney Plus. And this came out in 2002 and is famous/infamous for being pretty much the most expensive hand-drawn animation production, and also a commercial failure. Had a very interesting production history. Apparently, there were attempts to get this off the ground in the 80s, around the time of The Little Mermaid. And various producers and heads of the Disney Corporation put the kibosh on production and said, "Nah, we're not doing that right now. Like, we'll come back to pirates when pirates are in fashion." So 2002, as it so happens, was still not yet the right time for pirates, but we'll get there. But yeah, apparently the production of Hercules was kind of the jumping off point for production of this film to start proper, where essentially it was agreed that upon the completion of Hercules, the people who wanted to make this film could start in earnest actually working on the thing. So from a conceptual standpoint, this idea had been floating around for decades, or at least a decade prior to that. Would not come to fruition for many, many years until 2002, and then bam, kind of a flop. In fact, a monumental flop in a lot of respects. But this film, Treasure Planet, has gone on to develop a loyal following, a small but dedicated fan base, one of whom whom's number could be counted among us in this room right now. So Levi, you actually have a personal history with this film. I do not. I saw this film for the first time last week. So Treasure Planet, Levi, tell us a little something about it. Tell us about your connection to Treasure Planet.
We had, much like everyone else, I feel like we had Disney in a constant rotation around our house. It's like of the 101 Dalmatians, Aristocats, some of the princess films didn't have nearly as much play with me, although they were on, so like Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella were watched fairly consistently. But the ones I tended to gravitate towards were the weirder ones, and that would be Rescuers Down Under, which we discussed a little bit on the last show, Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which also did not do well at all, but I think has some serious freaking teeth to it. And this, Treasure Planet. And it were those three that played fairly consistently in my house. And it's that sense of big, grand, bombastic adventure that a lot of the other Disney films weren't really giving me. There's also not really a whole lot of song numbers. It's like, because those three in particular are kind of unconventional within the Disney mold, being they are strictly adventure flicks. It's sort of like how we did it in the old mold with shows like Davy Crockett or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, these sorts of things where it's like Disney used to make adventure pictures. Disney's Swiss Family Robinson also played in my house fairly often. But yeah, that's kind of my connection. It was just one that was in rotation, and it has consistently stayed with me because of its big standout moments, its designs, and above all, its freaking score. The music is one of those that just lives absolutely rent-free for me, where it is, it's the score for this, the score for The Rocketeer. And I'm trying to think of another one that has had, like, probably The Magnificent Seven are like three scores that just kind of roll through my head in passing on a fairly consistent basis because of just their big, grand, adventurous tones. And it's one I've always appreciated, and it's one I'm glad has the fan base it has. I'm also kind of glad, a little bit, just a wee bit, that it was a financial failure, because you know that Disney will never touch it ever again.
And that's how it ought to be. This is a very self-contained story. It's a pseudo-adaptation of Treasure Island, which I don't know the source material that well. I did see the film adaptation of it from, I believe, the 1950s when I was a youngster, such that I don't remember it all that well. But yeah, the score of this is tremendous. James Newton Howard did the score for this. I've always heralded him as an exceptional composer that is often underappreciated, kind of like movies like this and some of the aforementioned. If you don't know who he is, dear listener, James Newton Howard has kind of an eclectic sound. He's unafraid of mixing styles and instrumentation. There is a audacious electric guitar that plays at times in the score that on paper it sounds like, oh, that's got to be corny as all shit, and then you hear it in the score and you're like, that has to be there. Like, that's exact, especially in 2002, like in the new metal age. It's like, yeah, a kid on a space surfboard does need an electric guitar backing, and I'm sorry, that's the correct choice.
Yeah, it reminds me of the theme from A-Team that has the rock guitar like movement to it.
It just comes in at a certain point. Yeah. You're like, I didn't see that coming, but I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, exactly. But it's paired so nicely with the big traditional horn section.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't cut to Mr. T turning his head back to the camera when it kicks in, but, you know, maybe they could have slipped that at some point. But yeah, James Newton Howard is a terrific composer. I really liked his work on Primal Fear. It's kind of an interesting score. Very, it's more sedate than something like this, not as bombastic or energetic, but it has some lovely melodies to it at key moments. It's not a music forward movie in any respect. There's just a couple of like montages where the music comes in handy. But like the big one for me, aside from Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, which he is co-composer on, a lot of people forget that. A lot of people forget that it was not Hans Zimmer who did that Dark Knight trilogy. He only did the last film. Like he has sole credit on that last one. But the first two is Hans Zimmer and James Newton Howard. And his contributions are immense. Waterworld, not a well-loved movie, kind of a joke, honestly, kind of a running gag in Hollywood circles. But the score for Waterworld is incredible. Just like the opening track, basically. I think it's called Escaping the Smokers, Levi. It's like the most amazing adventure piece of music you'll ever fucking hear. It's incredible. So yeah, James Newton Howard, as soon as Levi told me that, because like I said, I saw this movie for the first time last week, and Levi gave me a little bit of a primer on like some of the highlights of the thing over Discord. And he was like, this track, give this a listen. And I saw James Newton Howard's name and I was like, oh, we're in good hands. So James Newton Howard being listed among James Horner and Elmer Bernstein as class composers, can concur. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I'm curious, Levi, how old would you say you were when you first saw this movie?
I mean, probably 6 or 7. I was probably the age that Jim is in the opening.
Okay.
It's like I was really, really young when I first saw this. Contrary to the popular belief on the internet and in the Red Cow Discord and that sort of thing, guys, I'm a fairly young guy. So my although my view on things is a little skewed because I do have a love for a lot of this stuff from previous decades, and I've really bought into other things. It's like I am a kid of the 2000s. So this one reached me when I was pretty young, and its big sense of adventure. And it's one of the reasons why I think those three in particular, weirdly enough, they are kind of base-defining texts. And I was talking with somebody a number of years ago about this, where I feel like Atlantis really... I can actually point to Atlantis and say, that could very well be the origin of, the early 20th century is neat. And look at all this adventure stuff, and look at all of these different uniforms, and all of, like, the different tech, and it's chunky, and it's weird, and, like... It is very pulp. And yeah, I feel like these three movies have a lot of that. And Treasure Planet, where I feel like Rescuers Down Under has so much of that sense of like awe and wonder in more of like a lighter adventure story. And Atlantis is a little bit more adult, and it has like a bit more of that heavier hand with it. Treasure Planet, I feel like sits right square in the middle, because it is very much a coming of age story, but it also doesn't really pull its punches. It has some kiddie elements that really worked for me as a kid, that as an adult I kind of want gone. But
Morph.
I don't even hate Morph. It's Ben. It's Ben.
Yeah, it's Ben. The late edition of Ben.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so this movie has a lot of staying power with me, because it is one of the things that played in my house that felt real. It felt like that big bombastic adventure stuff, and it didn't feel like it was talking down. And for the most part, the danger is real and the adventure is real, and it looks gorgeous, and the music is awesome. And yeah, this one has a very special place for me.
Yeah, just so we're clear, I wasn't trying to gotcha or like out you as a young man just now, because I know there probably are a lot of people in the Discord who think that you look like Charles Bronson and are roughly the same age as he would be. But
yeah,
I see a lot of the appeal, especially for a younger person. Like, it does have teeth, as you would say. There is like an actual sense of danger. There's like mortality is a concept that's introduced and confronted numerous times in like the early goings of the story, where it's not just like typical Disney fare where it's like, oh, there's an absent parent or something like that. Like at the midway point, it's like, oh, we lose characters and we don't necessarily see them die, but we understand that they are dead and gone and will never be coming back. So there's a sense of like real stakes and real danger that gives the thing a sense of earnesty, where it's like, yes, it does have some kiddie elements to, keep the younger members of the audience engaged and whatnot, but it's largely interested in telling a story and actually very dialogue heavy. And even the way the animation is handled has a very cinematic feel to it, that they have. Remember, this is 2002, but for 2002 standards, they have essentially all the money in the world and all the technical tools in the world at their disposal. And yet quite a lot of the presentation in dialogue scenes in particular, of which there are many, is kind of to frame the characters as you would a live action film, where it's like, it's not overly concerned with your typical stretching and pulling of characters to, distort proportions and make a show out of every gesture they make or whatever. The camera angle is often kind of flat, and there's a lot of long tracking shots, which in my mind for a traditional hand animated film is expensive, where it's like you're tracking the movements without any cuts or changes of angles, which means somebody had to be very sustained and consistent in their modeling and their animating of each of those characters. From a technical standpoint, this film is really fascinating because they were too early to the dance is the problem. There's a reason why there's like a cutoff date for me with animation these days, where it transforms at a certain point through technology, through the implementation of technology and the innovation of technology, into an art form that I don't understand in the same way that I used to. This is bridging the gap. This is like the demarcation point, where it's like this is where computers became absolutely essential and empowered animators to a degree that was heretofore unknown. This is where we have computer-assisted tools to move the camera. This is where we have computer-assisted tools to design props and sets for hand-drawn animated characters to navigate within. But it's also 2002, and these things were probably innovated for this production at great cost. And these days, these tools are essential. These are used on like every animated film. And at this point in time, just the novelty of being able to move the camera in a cinematic way was novel and expensive. Whereas these days, it's like virtually every hand-drawn character has a 3D model equivalent that gets oftentimes like swapped out between shots or between activities. And in this point in time, we didn't have that. So it's interesting to watch it now through the lens of somebody in 2026 and see that like, holy shit, like this was like groundbreaking stuff. Like the things that they're doing here by today's standards are unremarkable, but at the time it's like, wow. Like you need to remember, dear listener, that the ballroom shot in Beauty and the Beast, and Levi definitely knows what I'm talking about. I'm assuming most people in the room know what I'm talking about. In the mid 90s, that was like, like, holy shit, how do they do that?
I mean, dude, Beauty and the Beast like won some serious freaking awards that year because of shots like that.
Yeah.
Like people were amazed what they were able to do.
Yeah. And it was through the implementation of CGI technology. Like the ballroom is like a 3D element, and just moving the camera at that time was like, this is new, this is incredible, we got to do it. And here it's interesting because it's used sparingly, but you can tell that every time it's used, it's like they probably like dedicated months to just that shot, where it's like, we have this sweeping shot of the deck during the maelstrom. It's like, we're going to show everybody moving around. We're going to have all these little figures moving on this 3D modeled tapestry of the ship. And then there's a couple of shots like in the interior of the ship where people are like chasing each other or running away from explosions, and the camera's dipping and dodging in a way that just you couldn't easily do before in hand-drawn animation. So from a technical standpoint, the movies, it's an interesting bit of history. It doesn't make sense if you don't bring that knowledge into it, like going in. Like if you just put this on without understanding that the things that you're watching were incredible for their time, it takes away some of the whiz-bang factor of it. But even if you don't come in armed with that knowledge, it's all buoyed by like top-class character designs and character expression. Like the expressiveness of the characters is like, there's a reason Disney is a top flight, or was in this arena at the time, because the facial animations of some of the characters, the consistency in the modeling is something that Western animation in particular has always taken a lot of pride in. As far as I understand, there were like whole teams dedicated to individual characters in the cast. which is a good way of doing it because it develops an intimacy where it's like, I am animating David Hyde Pierce. We knew we were going to be doing that before we even officially cast him. So we have a whole team of people who just, that's what they do. They obsess over how David Hyde Pierce moves every day until the end of production. And I think that was a really good idea. And it's also essential for this story because it is, as you said, a coming of age story. And I was actually very surprised with how effective the storytelling is. In its quieter moments in particular, it's like this is genuine drama. Like this is genuine human drama. Like you take away all the colorful space elements and adventure stuff, it's like just watching this teenage boy have these father figures pop up in his life and encounter the pitfalls that come along with maybe like developing attachments to people who aren't necessarily entirely trustworthy is really fascinating. And on that subject, I wanted to ask you, Levi, I read that there was a disagreement in the writer's room for this one about the age of the protagonist. There were some folks who felt that the character needed to be younger. I think that's closer to the source novel. But then there were like what obviously won out in the end was to have a teenage protagonist. And personally, I agree with the teenage thing. I think that tone suits the interactions that he has with the adult characters. I think him being more cynical and less like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and naive, I think works for this kind of story. Like it makes his dynamic with the John Silver character make more sense and have more fireworks. Honestly, just makes it more dynamic. But how about you? Like where do you fall in that?
I feel that you kind of want the character to be a little older because this is the time that he needs a father, and this is the time when he is kind of dangerous and rangy and clearly brilliant, but also a bit of a screw up. And it's the things that the film does a great job at communicating this, that essentially I suppose we could probably talk about the plot of the film as a quick diversion. Jim Hawkins is a young man who we learn his father left when he was fairly young, and now his mother raised him. And on a seemingly normal day out of nowhere, a pirate craft crashes at their little inn, and he is given a map to what is the legendary and titular treasure planet, which pretty much everyone has determined does not exist and was just an old legend. So they are then pursued. Their home and business is burned to the ground by other pirates that are pursuing them. And they then decide to take the map and go on the voyage out to go find Treasure Planet. So early on, one of our initial scenes in the film, we see like a very young Jim learning about it. He's probably like 5 or 6 years old, learning about Treasure Planet from a storybook. And then we pivot to his teenage years, where he is a thrill seeker. And he's out in the middle of a construction and mining operation on a like jet-powered rocket skateboard-looking thing. And we get to establish early on that it's like, yeah, Jim is not a bad kid, but Jim has no anchor, and he has no moral compass that's like really kind of like pushing him toward what he's supposed to be doing. So it's leading him to lash out and act out and try and find himself in other ways because he has no guidance. And what ends up developing over the course of the film is when they go out onto the voyage, one of the last words that's spoken to him by the guy that's holding the map is like, "Beware the cyborg." And when they go aboard the ship that they've chartered to go to Treasure Planet, the cook is John Silver, who is a cyborg man, who it turns out is secretly planning a mutiny to take over the ship and take Treasure Planet for himself. So the movie has this kind of interesting dynamic of John takes Jim under his wing, but is clearly not to be trusted. But at the same time, both of them kind of take a shine to each other. But the other dynamic is John is in front of a pirate crew that is essentially playing coy and playing cool until they get close enough to the planet that they can take over. So they're kind of like, listen, you can't be getting close to this kid. He's gonna screw up the plan. So there's this good push and pull dynamic. To get back to the original question, I think it's a good thing that he's this age, because being a young man of like 16, 17, he is old enough to be dangerous, and he is at a very particular age that he needs guidance, that he needs to be channeled into something real, where if he was a little younger, I feel like it would end up being sort of that wide-eyed whiz-bang factor. And the way that he actually does manage to rescue the crew and be somebody that has enough sharpness to be a reasonable adversary and all of this, I feel like it would be a little too cutesy if he was like 12. But as a 16 or 17-year-old kid, you're like, no, I believe that. It's like, I believe that he could be physically capable of this and mentally capable of this, and it puts him at an age where he needs to have people around him.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Like, placing him in his teenage years puts him at a pivot point, where if he was still a child, it's like he hasn't had the same kind of palpable absence in his life. Like his father leaves him in either scenario, but to have him have been without for so long and be at this point where, as you say, he is dangerous and capable and is at this point where he could easily swing either way, that's what makes it dramatic. That's what makes it interesting. So I'm content having him be a teenage character. But yeah, thank you for the plot rundown. Worth pointing out, apparently, Patrick McGowan's last role as the gentleman who leaves them with the map. Longshanks himself, or whatever. But very interesting, very eclectic voice cast. Kind of in the vein of like Disney films of the 90s, where you have a good mix of a couple of name performers, but for the most part, it's just kind of like the right person for the role. We have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Mr. Hawkins, our main character. Good choice, given that he perpetually sounds like a teenager. He just kind of has that voice, kind of similar to Johnny Young Bosch, former Black Ranger. He also just has a youthful tone to his voice that just makes him a good fit for a lot of young characters as a voice actor. But what's really fascinating is Brian Murray as John Silver. Unconventional, but incredible casting. Apparently, largely a theater actor. He has film credits. He has TV credits. He was on Kojak. But for the most part, I guess he's a stage performer. But holy shit, he knocks it out of the park with his performance as John Silver. Like, there's so much character conveyed, and there's just a particular quality to his voice that is very unique and works. It helps that the animation crew really seemingly understood the assignment, where it's like this is like the pivotal character. Like we gotta get Jar Jar working. It's like we gotta get John Silver working. It really though, like his introduction, just from a pure animation standpoint, even divorced from the performance, is kind of a showcase moment where they open up the toolkit and like throw everything they got at it, where they have like a rotating tracking shot of him walking around the cauldron while he's cooking. Just the character design alone is representative of the medium of the film, where the whole from a conceptual standpoint, the whole thing is a melding of 3D animation and 2D hand-drawn animation. And he as a character is that. He is a cyborg, as Levi had mentioned, and his arm and his eye, pretty much half of his body and his leg, is CGI animated. Whereas the rest of his traditional hand-drawn animation. And he's an actual melding of the two technologies. And it's done really well. Like it's I wouldn't say it's entirely seamless, just because of the texturing is a little bit different between the two technologies. But the same level of care and attention to detail is applied to both mediums. Like some of the intricacies of his hand animations, like his transforming hand gadget is pretty wow, even by 2026 standards. In addition to that, though, we also have David Hyde Pierce. I mentioned him earlier. I thought he was one of the better animated characters in the whole movie. In like the traditional Disney sense, where he's very bouncy, he's very stretchy, and every gesture and inflection is accounted for. He's kind of a comic relief character, but he's also clearly kind of quietly another father figure to our main character, just more subdued, more in the background. We also have Emma Thompson having a ball, like having a blast with the dialogue here. Her character's a lot of fun. Martin Short as the aforementioned Ben, the obnoxious Ben, who Martin Short they're trying to do, I guess, like a genie thing with him, where it's like he's the fun character, but he's not as much of a character. He's more just like a set of keys that gets jiggled in front of the screen at a certain point in time.
He had a little bit of context.
Sure.
When the crew actually reaches the planet, it is abandoned. There is nobody there. There's absolutely nobody there. But the only real life is in the form of the android navigator for the old ship, for the old crew of the pirates that gathered all the treasure. So he serves a purpose in that he is essentially the guide on the planet, and he explains what is going on with the planet. So he is needed. And I get the angle they're going for, because he's like, he has a couple of screws loose and he's kind of crazy and obnoxious, and he's just like, oh my goodness, I've been stuck here for 100 years. Hi, hello. But it's Martin Short doing his Martin Short thing. Mm-hmm. And not like in the in some performances that's a lot of fun, and it's really charming, and it's really funny. And here, what cracks me up is that not even the characters are into it. Everyone is just like, could somebody please shut the professor up? Like, it's nobody likes that Ben is in this movie. Yeah. The characters don't like that Ben is in this movie. The audience doesn't like that Ben is in this movie.
Yeah, Ben is kind of obnoxious. Again, he shows up as, I think, like a wake-up moment for the kids, maybe. Martin Short had a working relationship with the Disney Corporation. Probably wasn't a tough sell to get him in there. And like Levi said, I actually like Martin Short and his shtick for the most part. It's just this movie, at the point in time in which he enters the plot, it's like, my reaction is that of the characters. Like, could somebody shut him up or shut him down? Like, seriously. But yeah, in general, I tend to like Martin Short. I'd also like to point out that Michael Wincott is in this film. And we have a long history of Michael Wincott here at Catching Up on Cinema. The man, I don't know how many packs a day he was at, but perpetual smoker's voice, Michael Wincott, plays, was it Mr. Screw, I think is what they call him? Scroop. Yeah, he plays kind of a arachnid type character, and excellent casting for voice. It serves as kind of like a mid boss of sorts for the plot, and also kind of a fun aside to John Silver, where it's like John Silver, kind of similar to our protagonist, develops a moral conscience, and you can kind of see him slipping in both directions as the story goes on. Scroop is just pure evil. he is just a bad guy. He has no problem killing a kid. Not a big deal to him. So it's like he's if there was to be a mutiny within the mutiny, he would probably be the one leading it against John Silver if he survived to the final reel, which he does not. But yeah, the progression of the story, it moves. I really enjoyed that. How it's like we have our treasure map obtained very early. We have like kind of a New Hope-esque means of forcing your characters into action, where it's like your house literally burned down. It's like you can't go home. And we have the journey start with Mom's blessing. I love a demonstration of the technology at work. That shot of the crescent moon that the camera zooms into, and we discover it's not a moon. That's no moon. It's a space station. And it turns out to be a spaceport that they launch from. And then we have like a whole middle chapter dedicated to being on the ship, and our main character learning quite a lot about himself and discovering a lot of potential figures to look up to and cozy up to. And then before long, there's some exciting action that occurs during that part. The bit with the black hole or the maelstrom was legitimately harrowing and exciting. I'd actually like to pause for a moment to point out that I was messaging Levi about that. The fact that like I found myself thinking of Little Nemo when I was watching this. I don't know how many people saw that movie or remember it or think fondly of it, but I can check yes to all of those things. I really like the Little Nemo movie, and I read a few of those comics, the Winsor McCay comics in college. But yeah, I remember my parents rented the Little Nemo movie, and what struck me about it, like where the comparison got drawn, is that there's the character Flip the clown, who's kind of a staple of the Little Nemo comic and movie. Jiminy Jillikers, what's his face? Mickey Rooney or whatever does the voice acting for him in the film. He's kind of almost like a analog to John Silver, in that he's mischievous, and he pulls our main character in the direction of mischievery and no goodness. And there's an incident in Little Nemo wherein curiosity and just like tomfoolery influenced by Flip causes Little Nemo to open a door that unleashes the villain of the story, who then immediately kidnaps the father figure in the story in the form of like the King of Slumberland. And there's this like really harsh moment in that movie in Little Nemo where there's like a whole ballroom full of people who just like give these condemning looks at Little Nemo. And I think the scene fades to black and he like wakes up and as if it was a nightmare. But this movie has that too, where it's not his fault actually. So it's different in that regard. But there's that bit where the first mate of the captain is killed during the black hole sequence, and the blame is placed on our protagonist because it was his responsibility to keep what happened from happening. And it's actually not his fault, so he is framed for it. But it's a heavy moment that I think for a young person is very, very relatable, and essential, because that happens to everybody at a certain point in their life, and it's a shitty feeling no matter how you slice it. But we have to carry on and learn and grow from it. In addition to that, there's the bit when they get on the planet, and in Little Nemo, there's also a professor figure, and also they transition to a new realm that's kind of a swampland, kind of similar to the Treasure Planet, and they meet the transforming goblin dudes who may as well be Ben. So, just like these weird little parallels I was thinking of. Anyway, I've been rambling for a long time, Levi. I don't know how you want to make an inroad into this conversation, but take the helm, sir.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like it's one of the aspects that I think is missing from a lot of kids' entertainment, and we can wax poetic about how it's like kids' entertainment used to. It's like we are picking and choosing here. Like, it's sort of a reminder. I remember somebody saying, like, it's classic rock radio is a distortion. It's a distortion of the past, because you're like, man, every song that comes on is awesome. That, like, we used to know how to make music. It's like, yeah, there was also plenty of shit that we sifted through to get the good stuff. We've had 40 years. We've had 40 years to sift through the 80s and find what we want. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you hear the same, like, 4 Bon Jovi songs out of the, like, 120 that he put out in that time is telling. It's not that, and it's not even to say that all the undiscovered stuff is crap and you shouldn't look. There's plenty of hidden gems. But it's sort of the same way with movies. It's the same way with clothing. It's the same way with everything. We kind of pare away things. All of that being said, in the past, we had guys like Don Bluth, who has a fairly famous quote being, you can show a child anything as long as it has a happy ending. As long as it comes through, as long as the danger is past, you can push a kid pretty far before they'll shut the thing off. And his work is evident of that. It's like Land Before Time, American Tail, Secret of Nim. Like, these stories have very harrowing moments. And even in his stories that are decidedly more kiddie, like Pebble and the Penguin or Rockadoodle, they have
a fucked up movie.
They have some deeply frightening things in them.
Rockadoodle's scarring.
Rockadoodle scared the shit out of me.
Rockadoodle fucked me up.
That owl stole that boy's soul and turned him into a cat.
That is a thing that happened.
Like,
Rockadoodle.
That screwed me up, man. I kind of want to rewatch Rockadoodle just because I'm like, is it as insane as I remember? Because I haven't seen it since I was like probably 8 years old.
Tune in next week for Rockadoodle.
Oh my goodness. You want to watch Rockadoodle for the next show? Holy shit.
I don't know about the next show, but we should probably talk about Rockadoodle. Anyway, I derailed you. I'm sorry.
But it's
Don Bluth.
Don Bluth is right. You can really push things. And I feel like Batman the Animated Series is a great example of this. A lot of Bruce Timm's DC universe is like pretty heavy hitting, like some heavy hitting stuff, and like nothing so far that you're like, oh, actually it was secretly made for adults. I hate that argument, by the way.
No.
Ridiculous. I hate when people are like, actually, this show was, it's like, no, have you seen the show? Have you seen it? No, this is for children. It's just not talking down to them.
Yeah.
It's not pulling its punches. It's what is scary and what is real is not downplayed. And I feel like a movie like this, and I feel like Disney, for the most part, understood this. And they understood this for quite some time. And I think to an extent they still kind of do. in like drips and drabs here and there. You have to let your characters fall on their faces on occasion. There has to be a dark moment. There has to be the darkest moments. And there has to be something to climb back up where all hope is lost. And you need to have things that are genuinely threatening that come against your characters, because kids respond to that. It's Lewis once put it as was it Lewis or Chesterton? I can't remember which, but it's the idea being fairy tales don't exist for children to tell them that there are dragons out there. Children know there's evil in the world. A fairy tale exists to tell them that dragons can be beaten. It's like, you need to have a dragon. You need to have threat. You need to have danger. And I feel like Treasure Planet is one of those stalwarts where I can't think of a lot of animated pictures in the last number of years that have really truly given us a formidable force and moments of really true failure. And I feel like that's kind of robbing. I feel like that robs kids of the ability to safely feel that an emotion in an empathetic way when it's not them.
Yeah, apparently that's a kind of a generational problem. I don't have kids myself, maybe someday, we'll see, but I've been looking into like what's going on with the kids and stuff, and it's interesting to read about some of the situation with education and literacy, something you, Levi, have quite strong opinions about, I'm sure. Apparently it's a problem with the kids, but some failure and encountering pitfalls in life is something that I struggle with, because it is always an opportunity to learn unless you're utterly destroyed or killed or something. Like, and most failures in your personal life, you can dust yourself off and carry on. And it's very easy to lose sight of that. And it's a very difficult concept to swallow if you have less experience swallowing it. So yeah, as a lesson to impart to young people, I think it's absolutely essential, especially like you had just said, Levi, processing it through the lens of someone who is not you, seeing someone else go through it, someone that you admire go through that, gives you a little bit more strength to process and understand these things. And to tie it all back to how I started the thought, apparently that seems to be kind of a problem with some of the future generations, is there is a fear of failure, and it results in a lot of quitting before you've gotten started, a lot of like throwing your hands up and saying I'm over it, at like first being admonished or first being informed that a mistake was made. It's like, it's just a mistake. It's you don't have to flip the table and walk away from the board game or whatever. It's like, you misunderstood the rules. We can roll it back and carry on. Like, you're not being condemned for life. It's just, pause for a second, acknowledge that something went wrong, and carry on. So yeah, like that moment, like maybe it's me projecting or something, but that moment when the whole crew looks to our protagonist, a young man, and none of their words are actually that harsh. It's just like the understanding that a mistake was made, and there was a grave outcome that came of it. Like a man lost his life and is no longer with us, and ostensibly you were the person responsible for that. And to see our character actually process that genuinely, even though we, the audience, know he's not actually at fault. To see the character, like, just for a few minutes of screen time. It's not like the movie stops dead and dwells on this. It's actually kind of a small moment, but it was one that really spoke to me, and I'm really glad it's there, because I think it really completes the journey and completes the picture of the kind of story that they're trying to tell about this character.
Well, and I think it also speaks to the idea of because what Jim needs in this moment, because it's what Jim needs in the moment of failure. And we see him turn around pretty quickly. And it's the sort of thing that if you've ever been in a kind of leadership position, if you've ever been in a place where you are kind of where the buck stops and you do have an influence over somebody's life, what Jim needed and what he is given in that moment is Silver coming in and saying, listen, kid, it's not the end here. Like, I know that you're feeling this, and I know that you're feeling like this is going to kill you. But this isn't the end. Like, mistakes happen. Like, you got the making of greatness in you. And I just want to see it happen, so maybe I can get a little bit of that off your sails. Like, there's something very real about it, that it's not only you can recover from failure, but failure does not define you. That as long as you move forward, there's something real. And it's funny because that's very core to, at least it was. I mean, maybe it's not as much anymore. Walt Disney has this wonderful quote where he's like, the past can hurt us. The past hurts. But we only have one choice. It can either just hurt us or we can learn from it. We keep moving forward. And I think that's what Jim needs, and I think that's what a lot of people need. The realization that failure does not define them. And that's a very important lesson. And that's a lesson I feel like we're kind of losing out on. It's not even just because I would say the message that I hear more so is, well, nobody's perfect. It's the idea of swatting failure aside. It's the idea of glossing over failure, that instead of the very real world idea of, yes, you failed. You did something incorrectly, and your failures have consequences. But this bad day does not define you. It's not that it didn't matter. It's that you can use this as a way to learn. And I think that's the difference. That is the biggest difference in communication of this idea between the generations. And I feel like Treasure Planet, because it is honest about that, and it is not heavy-handed with it, resonates with people.
Yeah, I mean, you've heard the term helicopter parenting. Like, the criticism of that is that in hovering over, in putting a protective bubble around your child, you're preventing them from tripping and falling, and thus preventing them from processing and learning that you will trip and fall. If you never encounter it, then how could you have the means of processing it in maturity? Kind of random aside, and we've definitely driven the point home already, but I just wanted to add that I'm one of those people that, like, I actually started to write an essay, but of course, like most things in my life, it's just kind of sitting there on my hard drive as a draft. But like, it was about everything is wrestling, but also in the course of starting to write that, I also transformed that into everything is narrative. Like, everything is, I think we as humans often process the world through narratives and stories. It's just how we make sense of the things that don't make sense to us, as we try to attribute things to symmetry and poetry and narrative. I'm a lifelong fan of boxing, and one of the most pivotal and interesting moments in any up-and-coming boxer's career is the first loss. Almost inevitably, they all have one. There've only been, you could count on one hand probably the number of Hall of Fame talent that succeeded on the world stage, were known, faced the very best, and managed to retire without a professional defeat. All of these people quietly probably had amateur losses that nobody talks about or acknowledges, but in their professional career, they have a 0 in the loss column, and that makes them unique and special, but that has nothing to do with their personal lives. But anyway, the point is, part of the excitement of paying attention to that sport is identifying a young prospect, seeing them come up, seeing them continually scale up the competition that they're put up against, and then you never know who it's going to be or what it's going to be, but then they have that first loss. Sometimes it's catastrophic, sometimes it's just they lost by a hair or something, but regardless, it's the first loss, and it's always the most dramatic and interesting moment to see them come back, because as human, like that's when that elite level athlete is most human, and therefore the drama is most heightened. Is so much of it is not physical, it's raw psychology. And there are so many guys who show up after that first loss and it's just like something broke. Like they just did not have the tools to process that initial failure, and forevermore their course was altered. So all that to say, there's a lot to be learned from failure, and I think almost all of it stems from just pure acknowledgement, rather than denial, or, as you said, diminishing of it or brushing aside of it, where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's like, well, it does. It's it does, and it would be better if I acknowledged it and processed it and tried to make something of it. But what's funny is we've been talking about this for like 10 minutes, maybe 15, and it's like this much of the movie. It was just a moment that for some reason really grabbed me.
Well, because it's human, and the thing is that and again, that first loss is that big point of drama. And I think it also leads to one of the biggest pivot points in the film, because we see Jim and Silver connecting over the course of it, and that scene is what seals it. Because it's not just, hey, you're learning the ropes and learning how to run a mop, kid, and all the rest of it is the good times. But now through adversity, through this loss, this is what seals it. It's that speech, you have the making of greatness in you. And I want to stand speech, and I want to be there so I can catch the light coming off your sails. And it's like, it is one of those things that, because I've heard it so many times before, and because it is this foundational text, that it does get me. And then having the follow-up scene of Jim happens to be in the room where the mutinous crew is discussing their plans, and hears Silver deny him. Here's Silver say, I'm not going soft, and the kid's not going to get in the way, and I lied to him, and I was telling all of that to shut him up and keep him busy. And Jim having heard that is the knife going in and twisting, where it's like, oh, so the man who was there, the man who was being honest with me, the man who did pull me out of this moment of despair is in fact not to be trusted. So this is that moment of disillusionment. This is the moment of being disenchanted. So it's like we have, and then that leads to the rest of the film, and it leads to that tension and that push and pull relationship, because you're like, it's made clear that Silver does care for Jim, but does he love the treasure more? And Jim is having a really hard time being convinced that Silver loves him more than the treasure. But it's clear that Silver doesn't know either, and he needs to be put to the test. And that happens in the final act when They finally make it to the center of the planet, they make it to the Horde, and the whole thing's booby-trapped. It's booby-trapped to be destroyed as soon as people step through that barrier on a slight timer. And when it comes down to it, when the choice is between saving a raft full of gold or Jim falling into the center of the burning planet, Silver reluctantly realizes, shit, I gotta grab this kid. And he does do so reluctantly. Yes. It is a pained thing for him. And because that moment is the pivot point. That moment is the crux that the rest of the film spins on. So it's a very big moment. It's very important. And of course, the heart of the picture is that relationship between Silver and Jim, of which the song "I'm Still Here" that plays over it. Guys, I know it's the 2000s. I know. I love that song so much. It's so good. I played that song for my graduation party. I'm like, that was one that because I was shipping out. I was shipping out for basic training in about a week after I graduated at 17. And essentially, it was one last way for all of the friends and family to come together to say congratulations and happy trails. And they were like, "Hey, play us something. You know, like here's your guitar. Play us something before you go." And among those songs, the last one was "I'm Still Here." It's like, it captures that energy and it captures that beauty in that moment. And it captures that guiding hand of being unsure of where you are and reaching your hand out to somebody who you're not sure if they can guide you, but you want them to. And as goofy as it may sound, over the years, it's been interesting in my mindset thinking of myself as Jim in that equation, and slowly as I get older, see myself as Silver. And is it goofy? Yes. Is it very 2000s? Oh, most certainly. But the movie hangs on that relationship, and it works. And even in the midst of the action and the adventure and the bigness and some of the more kiddie elements with there's a character called Morph who's essentially like a combination between like a dog. He's a little bit like a dog, but he's also kind of like a minor character, and he can shapeshift into different things. So you get all these sight gags with him. What comes out strongest is those characters, and that's what makes the movie so effective.
Yeah, the dynamic between the two of them is kind of beautifully done, honestly. Like I was touched by some of their interactions. Like the John Silver performance, for one, is pretty incredible, but the writing of his dialogue, the line that you've recited a couple of times already, it's reiterated at least twice in the film, and it gets you every time, especially coming out of that hideous creature, because he's very not pleasant to look at times, but so very expressive. And because you get to see him from so many different angles, that's what makes the earnesty of it resonate even more. Because that pivotal moment that for some reason I can't get away from after Jim's failure, what makes it special is that it is kind of the realization, the crystallization, I guess, on the part of the John Silver character, that's like there's actual affection there that previously could have been written off as a means to an end. But in that moment, it was voluntary. He could have gone below decks and just, gotten back to work. but he saw a need and filled a need. He didn't. His plan was to mutiny the ship very shortly after this sequence. There was no need to attend to a sad boy on the deck of the ship, but he wanted to. He felt compelled to his own detriment. Like, it put him at risk. It put his plans at risk. So to see the push and pull with that character, and to see him rise to the occasion when it comes to mentoring and caring for this teenage boy, it makes it all the more effective and special. But in regards to the song, like, it is of its time for sure. I could see it being considered cheesy or cringe or something, but it didn't bother me at all. I'm in the camp too, Levi, where a lot of the Disney movies, a lot of the Disney movies that resonated with me as a youngster tended to be the unconventional ones, and a lot of them also had in common the fact that they didn't often have musical numbers, or at least de-emphasize that aspect of the presentation. But I thought that little montage was very effective. I thought the lyrics in particular applied very, very well to the visuals. Like, they married pretty well. Could be worse, Levi. You could have picked Hero by Nickelback from Spider-Man as the song that is core to your being.
Yeah, listen, there's certainly worse things. Yeah.
I mean, it came out the same year, I think. 2002. Yeah.
What a time.
We need a hero.
Watching us.
Something like that.
It's yeah. I mean, just on the subject of the music, the main theme and build up that's used a handful of times throughout the picture. One in particular, where we get the electric guitar with Jim going through the construction site, accompanied by the horns and everything, is like pure adventure. And him flying through these crevices and stuff that are really tight, and then going full vertical and just shouting into the air, and you're like, this is awesome. This is so cool. And then what started this whole thing was me sending the number Jim Saves the Crew to Trevor.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And it's the end of the movie with the explosion and everything, the planet igniting. And the way that it does tension, and because they need to escape, and it's sort of this last ditch effort, because they discover the pirate captain was able to fly in, rob people, and disappear without a trace through essentially an interdimensional portal system. So they need to fly out, get away from the planet, using the portal system, but it's at great risk because they have to activate it at just the right time, and they're under the gun. And the music so perfectly captures that moment, and the animation is so kinetic, and you kind of know they have to be able to get out of it because it's a movie. But you're still edge of your seat.
Yeah.
It's so well done. And I would highly recommend anyone listening just look up that piece, Jim Saves the Crew. It is so good. And yeah, overall, I just think all of the aspects of the movie really married together. And of course, the comedy, I mean, we've harped on Ben and Morph, but the comedy's pretty good too. It's a lot of wordplay. It's a lot of like kind of wittier stuff. The professor character and the captain,
yes,
have this sort of not enemies to lovers quite, but they have kind of an adversarial, like they're opposite sides of the spectrum from each other, and they slowly kind of come together. And their exchanges are very funny. The captain with the first mate, Mr. Arrow, is very funny. It's a very well-balanced movie where we have the big action beats and we have the drama, but we also have comedy that works on a level that especially because it's so freaking quick, I wasn't able to process as a kid.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot here for everybody. It's the Batman the Animated Series kind of presentation. It's the Don Bluth school of thought, where it's like, we're not going to pander to the kids. It's understood that there's certain elements of the vocabulary of the characters, there's certain concepts that might go straight over their head, but the presentation and the line delivery will make it work. Like, the first time I saw Transformers the movie, there were a lot of words that were being used in that movie that I was like 3 years old or some shit. I didn't know what, has his Imperial Magistrate reached a verdict? Like, okay. It's like, I'm free and guilty or innocent. Hang on, I know what guilty is. I know what innocent is. How come he killed him?
Innocent.
Yeah, it's like, why does he keep killing people? He's lying. That's not right. Oh, wait. They're bad guys. But it's that show of good faith on the part of the production. That's like, we're making this with kids in mind, but, we'll trust that they can follow and they'll get what they get out of it. They'll get what we intend for them to get out of it, even if they don't understand all the intricacies and subtleties of it. But yeah, very, very much from the Don Bluth school of thought, where we're gonna challenge our audience. We're gonna challenge the kids a little bit, and they'll get more out of it as a result. Because I was a Don Bluth kid. Like, Secret of Nim was one of the most watched animated films in my household. Land Before Time, second, but also watched that one quite a lot. And both of those are very challenging films for young kids. Fievel Goes West, less challenging, but also the one that I probably watched second most.
It's really funny. I had a friend over the other day, and he's just like, American Tail I probably watched about a half dozen times as a kid. Fievel Goes West.
I don't know what it is.
I found that to be the case with every man I meet. Every single guy I meet is just like, yeah, we watched American Tail like a half dozen times. It was, but Fievel Goes West.
My future brother-in-law, we were like at a dinner or something, and somehow that came about, and we both did, hey, like, we're best friends now. I don't know what it is about that movie, but yeah.
Jimmy Stewart as a hound dog, somehow giving a swan song speech in his final role.
What is it about animation that like Orson Welles transforms the movie Jimmy Stewart, Fievel Goes West?
Jimmy Stewart makes out so much better than Orson Welles.
Because I don't know if I've actually heard Orson Welles say it, but I've seen quotes from him where he's like, I'm playing a planet. I'm playing a toy commercial planet. It's absurd.
Absurd. Meaningless. Find me a jury that can emphasize moon before Moonbase.
Every line delivery that man had is a little magic trick. There's it's something incredible about his particular inflections that just grab you. But I think maybe it's like an age thing where it's like too old to get screen roles, but just right for elderly vocal performance. Because like I said, Patrick McGoohan, also in this one, last role as far as I know, Jimmy Stewart, Fievel Goes West. So there's something there. But anyway, we're in the weeds at this point. But Treasure Planet, 2002. I enjoyed this. I'm glad you had me watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful picture. I mean, and we didn't even mention it at all throughout the entirety of this discussion, but the blending of like sci-fi visuals with like 17th and 18th century like buildings and ships and clothing and everything is super neat. I mean, it's like the visual design language is great. The captain launched 1,000 furries, no doubt. Our captain is a rather svelte cat lady.
A svelte cat lady with magnificent elocution. And she's
very
sassy.
expressive.
Very expressive.
Yeah, it's just the art is wonderful. The blending of there's like a couple of times where you're like, oh, it's 2002 in here with the 3D animation. Like whales, like space whales pass by the ship. And you're like, that is a PlayStation 1 texture, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, it fares better than Titan AE. Don Bluth, right?
Yeah, I was actually gonna bring up that it's funny we've been talking about Don Bluth when this is the better Titan AE.
it means straight up it is. 2 years difference though from a technical standpoint, and also probably $100 million. Disney don't play around. But yeah, this is just Titan, much better Titan AE. Titan AE's not terrible. I watched it a couple times. It's fine. But Anastasia, it is not. Like Anastasia, for all of its flaws and weird historical inaccuracies, is just from a pure animation standpoint.
Wait. Rasputin wasn't actually a mad wizard that tried to murder the royal family?
You know, it could be debated. So we could get into it. No, Anastasia I would put higher than Titan AE. Rockadoodle, though, casts a shadow over all of them.
I can't remember if I've talked about this on the show before. I might have, but the reason we have the blurb of this story is fictional, no bearing of relation to people living or dead, and we have that even on based on a true story films. We're like, that's a real guy. That's a real guy that you acknowledge as a real guy. Mm-hmm. We have that blurb because of Rasputin.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. Because Universal Pictures put out a movie about, Rasputin, the mad monk. And it was doing good business. And one of the dukes that killed him that night was still alive because they made it like 10 years after it happened. Because, guys, Rasputin isn't like a 300-year-old story. It happened in like 1914. It's like a really recent as far as world history goes. So they make this movie like 10 years later, and Universal Studios gets a call from one of the dukes that freaking shot Rasputin and is just like, Rasputin never slept with my wife, you fucks.
Whoa.
And I will sue you, and I will personally come to America because this is slander. And you are making all of these people worldwide think that I am a weak man and that my wife is an adulteress.
Jesus.
And they're like, okay, of course not, sir. We would never do anything like that ever. So the rest of Hollywood for the rest of time have been like, there's no relation to anyone living or dead. No, it never happened. Never happened. Totally fictional. Guys, we made it all up. We made it all based on a true story. Artistic license, it's because of Rasputin.
Okay. That's an amazing little factoid. I kind of love that. Not as dramatic, but there's a series of films, the Ip Man franchise, about the Chinese martial artist, actual person, still has many family members who are still alive in spite of all these movies being made about his life. There was a funny thing that happened that, I have to imagine part of it has to do with the way China handles copyright and trademark and all that business. They don't give a shit. They have that franchise, of which there are no less than 4 movies and a spinoff. And one of his living sons took objection to that and got involved in the production of an alternative Ip Man film, of which he is featured in, that is even more grossly inaccurate than those films. Just
we have a Never Say Never Again for Ip Man?
We do. we have the non-canon and the canon Ip Man, and they're all horrible fabrications of reality. But apparently he just favored this interpretation more. It's a much worse film. But he's in it, and he has a fight sequence. He is doubled extensively in it. It's just a goofy thing where somebody picked up the phone, said, "Hey, that's my dad," like, and you show him as being a neglectful father across all of those films. Yep. Don't fuck around when people are still around. Maybe wait till they're all dead and buried. But yeah, this was Treasure Planet, directed by John Musker and Ron Clements from the year 2002. It's been part of our not financially successful pirate month. It's a theme, I guess. Pirate movies that failed. But before we go, thanks for joining me today, Levi, and thanks for putting this movie forward as a potential episode, because I'm really glad I watched it. It was a lot of fun. But before we go, would you care to let our listeners and viewers know where they can find you and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can find me at Your Captain Speaking on YouTube. I mostly talk about books, things like Conan and James Bond and Zorro and Elric of Melniboné, and on occasion I talk about my film collection and that sort of thing. I mostly have the channel to encourage people to get back into reading, because there are so many cool stories out there that are short, they're easy to digest, and a lot of the big action characters that we know today were either directly in print or they were inspired by things in print. And a lot of these stories are short, accessible, and made to be fun. If you're sick of what's on Netflix, if you're sick of what's coming out, if you're crying about how the publishing industry isn't geared towards you anymore, dude, go down to your used bookstore, watch some of my videos as a guide, and have fun. Get back into it. Enjoy yourself.
Yes, reading can be fun. Often is. We just often lose sight of the fact that it's always there. It's always an option. It doesn't have to eat up an entire day or something. It's like you can just pick up a 150-page little novel or novella and have a blast. So do it. But yeah, that being said, thank you so much for joining us today. The show is called Catching Up on Cinema. You're watching it and or listening to it. You can find it pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. And also we're on YouTube, obviously, and we try to do a live stream at least once a month. So tune in for that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.